I saw some data, it was a couple of years ago, but it's something like 75% of CMOs didn't have the budget they needed to activate their plan. And then again, a couple of years ago, the Better Briefs Project, a great piece of research, said that 33%, a third of marketing budget is wasted through poor briefs and misdirected work. So if you haven't got enough money to do your thing and you're wasting a third of it, right? So get yourself sorted out. Get your thinking straight before you're moving into stuff and things.
My name's Mike Lander, and you're listening to Higgle, the B2B Sales Club podcast, where we bring you actionable insights about sales RFPs, negotiations, and difficult procurement discussions from sales leaders, brand leaders, and procurement leaders. Please subscribe to get updates when new episodes are released. Thanks ever so much for coming back onto Higgle, the B2B Sales Club podcast. Great to have you. We've had lots of conversations in between the last episode. But for those people that missed it, who are you, what do you do, and your favourite song and why?
And why? Okay, right, blimey. I'm Gareth. I'm coming back like a bad penny. I'm the founder of a marketing strategy consultancy called Big Black Door. And we work with FMCG, food and drink businesses to get their thinking straight, their upstream thinking straight. Before that, I was in a number of different sales and marketing leadership roles at Heineken, Arla Foods, and Weetabix before jacking it all in to jump on this roller coaster.
How's that roller coaster going?
It's a roller coaster, mate. It's okay.
It definitely is. I can empathise.
To mix my metaphors a bit here, right? The roller coaster is less roller coastery if you zoom out enough. So if I look at my last month, it's terrifying at times. I either think I'm a world beater or I need to jack it all in if you look at a month, right?
Yeah.
But the truth isn't either of those things. So if you zoom back out again, if the trajectory is kind of okay, then you're doing all right. And so I spend most of my life trying to bring myself back into that sort of safe grey area rather than the highs and the lows, because it's...
No, I've not heard someone say that before. I think that's really good. I think that's absolutely right. You have to zoom up, zoom out, look at it from a bigger distance, and then see that overall the pattern is good.
Yes, like the stock market, isn't it? You got to sort of zoom back out again,
that's right.
To make your pension pot look okay.
Exactly right. So, favourite song and why before you get off the hook?
Well, the favourite song, spoiler alert to the viewers, might warn me on this. And so above my head here, there's a picture shelf where I have some inspirational quotes and some pictures. But I also have, he says, in a frame, I have my favourite track, which is the Jackson Sisters, and the song is called I Believe in Miracles.
I Believe in Miracles. Yeah. I Believe in Miracles. What a great track.
Yes, and so that is my favourite song. I've got some other ones up there as well, but that's my favourite track. I don't know why. It's probably because it was played in the sort of clubs I used to go to when I was in my youth with my school friends. And when we went to a nightclub in London on New Year's Eve, that was the track they played at midnight. And so it stuck with me, and it's my go-to song. I love it.
Memories. Always brings back fond memories.
Yeah. It's an emotional connection with my longest and best friends.
Brilliant. Very good. And actually, I think most songs are. The reason I asked the question is it evokes an emotion. It invokes something about how we feel. As Maya Angelou famously said, people will forget what I wrote, they'll forget what I said, but they'll never forget how I made them feel. Or something like that. Yeah, and it's true.
Yes, very true, yes.
So, for the listeners, why is Gareth back? Well, I wrote a report recently called the Agency Research Report, and I didn't set out to do it for any other reason than I thought with AI, the agency world is going to change dramatically in the next 3 years. So I wanted to write something about it. And I ended up writing this quite in-depth report. And then I published it on LinkedIn. And for me, it went bananas. As in, normally I get one comment a year. Not quite, but not far off. Whereas this got over 250 requests for the report. So clearly it struck a chord, it struck a nerve with people in the agency world. But of course, it's only one side of the coin. There's no point in saying what's happening to the agency world if you don't understand what's happening to the CMO world, to the client side world. So I wanted to get Gareth on today to talk about exactly that. Obviously, given your background and given what you do today, you bring a client side, senior marketing CMO perspective. I want to just start with a bit of context about some research data that I found. And then we'll get into the questions with Gareth. So first of all, market context. This is for CMOs 2026, a variety of sources. 46%, so 46% of CMOs want to know how can they prioritize marketing initiatives that are most likely to drive growth. That was from Gartner. That's an ongoing trend. I don't think there's anything particularly new there, but it's reinforcement. AI is both the top priority and the top challenge from Salesforce. That absolutely resonates for sure. And we'll talk about that. 94% of European marketing organizations are still low or moderate Gen AI maturity. That was from McKinsey. That's an enormous issue. Everyone knows what's going on, but the level of adoption, the rate of adoption is relatively slow. The modern CMO isn't just buying agencies and running marketing. They're redesigning a growth ecosystem with fast evolving Gen AI enabling technology. And that's at the heart of what I think is going on. So let's talk to Gareth. So first kind of topic, as growth is still the number one CMO mandate, unsurprisingly, and if you were back in your old role, how would you be allocating your investment chips across channels, campaigns, AI capabilities and agencies, etc.? What's changed?
Well, I don't think much has changed, mate. That's a tale as old as time. Can you do more with less, Gareth?
Yeah, exactly. Where have we heard that before?
There's a new thing that's coming in, and it has some implications. I'm sure we'll dive into that, but I don't think it is that new. So I think CMOs are being asked to optimize budget. Let's sort of bring it up a level. How do we do more with less? And there are some interesting tools where that might be possible. But I guess my perspective is that the best CMOs are taking that step back and getting their chisel in order first before trying to optimize. So I think people are being asked to optimize budget perhaps sort of too early. They're already in the weeds in the channels, and they're doing that. And I saw some data. It was a couple of years ago, but it's something like there's two data sources. One was that I'm going to say something like 75% of CMOs. It might have been a Gartner report from a couple of years ago. 75% of CMOs didn't have the budget they needed to activate their plan. And then again, a couple of years ago, the Better Briefs project, a great piece of research, said that 33%, a third of marketing budget is wasted through poor briefs and misdirected work. So if you haven't got enough money to do your thing and you're wasting a third of it,
exactly,
right? Get yourself sorted out. Get your thinking straight before you're moving into stuff and things.
I think this is a really important theme here, Gareth. I think the zooming out thing about, if you go back to, there was great work done by a guy called Christensen about the jobs to be done. And actually, if you start with the jobs to be done, what's marketing's job that it has to do? Well, it's got to deliver growth and it's got to deliver brand longevity. And it does that by supporting sales, be that B2B sales or be that e-commerce or be that in-store or whatever. That's ultimately the job to be done. I think what I'm seeing a lot of, so I'd like to get your view on this, a lot of people are optimizing, as you say, at the channel or the campaign level, going, how do I get more out of this thing I'm doing? How do I make it run faster? Well, surely, not being a marketer, but surely you'd go back to the top and go, hang on a minute, what's the job to be done? How do I allocate my capital? So it's a capital allocation problem, most effectively with the optimized risk level to deliver the outcomes I'm being measured against. That's the job to be done. Not which agency do I use to deliver this amazing performance marketing campaign.
Yeah.
Is that broadly right?
Totally. I think I think the Gartner research you talked about said that something like 46% of CMOs are looking for ways to prioritize their initiatives.
Yeah.
That's not an execution problem. That's a clarity problem, right?
Exactly.
So what is it we're trying to do? What will that, we used to use this phrase at Weetabix, so this isn't just me pontificating from this sort of ivory tower now, but at Weetabix we would say, will it make the boat go faster? That thing you're asking me to do, it's a great initiative. Yeah, it's interesting. I can see why we're excited about that. Will it sell any more Weetabix?
Exactly.
Or what's the thing we try to do? So in Weetabix, the year before I left, we did a great brand planning process. Yeah, and we had a guy, Chris Dubois, who's the head of Insight. He led a superb planning process. And for the Weetabix brand, and it's other brands in the business, but for Weetabix brand, amazing awareness, 98% prompted awareness, a great consideration, okay penetration, but the penetration had been declining for a period. And so, okay, so if you buy into the Ehrenberg-Bass model, we've got to try and grow penetration. And we looked at all the different levers we could pull. And the thing that was most lacking for us, the weak spot, was our visibility in store.
Right.
So you then say, okay, everything we do now is the lever we're pulling is about driving visibility in store. And the marketing team, the sales team, the whole business is aligned to driving visibility in store. And in the promotional period that we activated that, we put on 3 percentage points of penetration because the business was lined up behind it. Everything we did was focused on visibility in store, which then was going to drive penetration. And
that 3%, so the listeners are clear, that's quite a lot of revenue value.
Well, yeah, I can't. Okay, it's a long time ago. I can't remember the numbers, but 3%. That's the last 13-week penetration. It'd be something like 500,000 new shoppers, something like that.
Wow.
So that's okay. It's worth having, right?
And you've got also a lifetime value of those shoppers, not just the one-off purchase.
You hope so, but the focus here wasn't lifetime value. The focus was penetration. 13-week penetration. So we're very precise on the thing we're trying to achieve because you back yourself then. So a lot of the clients I'm working with, a lot of challenger brands, a lot of sort of medium-sized scaling brands who've got some great distribution, they're now looking to scale. You've got to back your product. Yeah. And so we'll come back to perhaps the sort of the 4 Ps, etc. But let's assume your product is good and you're delivering, it's tasty and people will repeat it. That will look after itself if your product's any good.
Right.
Your job is to get that first purchase, and then the rest will follow. So going from 0 to 1 is the task. So that suddenly feels quite liberating in a way, right? So I've got all this myriad of stuff going on. If my job is to go from 0 to 1, and I've got that through that upstream clarity and thinking, then the pitch side advertising at Crystal Palace, is that going to drive? Yeah, possibly not.
Right.
Okay, so that won't make that boat go faster. Although Crystal Palace are an amazing football team, as we all know.
Absolutely.
Other football teams are available. But it's like in that made-up example, that wouldn't be the right thing to do because it wouldn't be driving penetration if that was the task.
So the takeaway is, and this kind of, there is a danger with AI that it becomes the discussion when actually, if I go back in time, even recently, the 2000s, when we had the dot-com boom, everyone was like, it's going to change the world, blah, blah, blah. And in many ways, yeah, it has changed the world. Absolutely. And it's stuck with us and it's transformed the way that we do all sorts of things, including shopping. But brands haven't gone away. The world hasn't collapsed.
Yeah.
Some businesses have succeeded. Some have fallen by the wayside. So the lesson I take away from these things, same with recessions, I've been through 5, is you have to focus on what's the big goal? What are we trying to achieve? What's the big objective? And then break it down into, okay, well, I can't wait for 5 years until the objective's achieved because I'll die in the process. So then what are the short-term wins? The quarterly ones. And then I get into, well, now I know what that is, and I've got a certain amount of budget. Now I've got to work out which asset allocation model is going to make the boat go faster in that quarter. So I keep my job, we grow the brand, things go well, and we aim towards the big goal.
Yeah.
It's overly simplistic, but
this is marketing. These are marketing fundamentals.
Right.
A new tool, a powerful, amazing new tool like AI doesn't change fundamentals. It's called a fundamental because it's fundamental.
Fundamental. Exactly. It's a fundamental.
Yes. And this is a difference between strategy and tactics. And these are all, what we're talking about here are tactics. And I think Mark Ritson talks about the tactification of the world. And because it's stuff and things, right? And as a human, there's a bias towards seeing stuff and having something tangible to show for it. And that thinking, whilst important and it sets the tone and it means that you're doing the right things and it compounds over time and all these things, that thinking can be seen as inertia.
Right.
But it's not. It's getting your stuff straight. And so when you've done your thinking, everything you do after that is more effective and efficient and it compounds. So every penny you spend after getting your thinking straight is on point. It wouldn't be in that 33% that's wasted, as the Best Briefs project would tell you. So
yeah. if we carry on, let's go down a little bit of a rabbit hole, not in the questions that we discussed. We will come back to the questions. I do promise listeners, we will come back to the questions. But I was at a conference last week done by Launch Online. Yes, they are one of my clients, but this isn't an advert for them and they don't sponsor the show. But at that conference was a very interesting, one of the presenters brought up a little chart about, if you look at the old model, if you had like £1 million to spend on marketing in the year, 70% of that in a consumer brand may well go into paid media. If you look at the customer journey, it's changed quite a lot. Now, you've got to get more upstream. You've got to influence their research, get in front of them when they're thinking about what they want to do and what they want to put in their garden this spring and all sorts of things. And then once you've kind of become front of mind, then you put money into paid advertising to maximize conversion. And it flipped. It was almost like 70-30 on paid versus other social influencer. Now it's more like kind of 50-50 or even 60-40. What's your view on that? Because the number of channels have absolutely exploded in terms of how consumers find, how they discover, how they go about discovery has changed dramatically. Does that change the role of marketing and the role of the CMO, or is it just back to fundamentals?
I think it's a good challenge, and I'm questioning myself here. But I think the fundamentals remain. So I prefer to think, and I'm speaking in absolutes here, which that's not the real world. So I'm sort of exaggerating to make my point here. But rather than thinking 60-40, 70-30, I'd rather be thinking 100% of my budget needs to be spent on driving penetration in that
penetration.
Example. Yeah, in that example, and it'd be different for.
Yeah,
people perhaps,
but let's pick that example.
Yes,
driving penetration.
So exactly. 100% of my budget to spend that, and then I'll be working with a good media agency to help me do that, and I'll be keeping them honest. I'll be saying that I'll be looking at the most effective and efficient way of doing that. So, and that'd be a mix of the creative. So, in my world, right? Imagine a TV ad, for example, and I know, that's very old fashioned, but there's a mix of the creative.
But we still do watch TV. We still do see adverts.
And by sort of TV, I'm including sort of, catch up and on demand
exactly.
stuff, right? But there's a salience, a mental availability, right? That's what we're trying to achieve. So you've got the physical availability, which is the bit that was the weak part for Weetabix I talked about, and that's what we're fixing. But the mental availability, does it spring readily to mind when you do? And that's not just about having more media spend. It's about having cut through comms, having category entry points, having all these things in place. And then when you got that, you're looking to optimize, and you're getting that message in front of as many people as you can within your category. So as many category buyers as possible, for as long as possible, for as many times as possible, for the budget available. And one way of doing that, if you've got a big budget, is go on TV, because you can do that at scale. But other ways would be radio or outdoor or digital display or social media or a number of different
influencer.
Exactly. But I'd be drawing a graph about the diminishing returns graph. So sort of that curve, I'll keep drawing it, and I'm going, okay, so that extra percentage of reach is going to cost me £1 million on TV. But if they're possibly light TV, which is why they're diminishing returns. If I took that £1 million out of TV and put it into digital display or TikTok or whatever it is, can I get those people more efficiently and effectively?
Exactly.
That's good media planning. But what they have to deal with then is the complexity of more channels. So I'd be leaning on those partners within the guardrails of their specific brief to say, how can we do this most effectively? What about TikTok, mate? And they might say, your audience ain't on TikTok. It may be fashionable. It might be the right thing to do, but they're not using TikTok. Or they might be saying, back to AI, actually, here's how we do, and I don't know about that. Here's how we do this stuff here's how we make your brand more readily available in Claude when people are searching for breakfast recipe ideas.
So I've got a thing at the moment, which I've been talking about for probably a year. Not many people know me, so therefore not many people hear it. But I think what brands need is a growth partner, not a media agency.
Yeah.
What do you think?
Well, we're coming on to, I've been doing a lot of thinking at the moment about who's offering strategy.
Right.
So I think that the marketing team, the CMO, the marketing, that own the strategy and own the growth. Doesn't mean they have to do it, but they're accountable for it. In a race,
they're accountable for it.
They're accountable for it. Let's be honest here. This is slightly self-serving here, but I see a lot of agencies say they can help their clients with strategy. I can help you with your marketing strategy, says Dave Badger from the brand design agency. Okay. I'll help you with
By
that.
the way, if Dave Badger exists from the brand design agency, we didn't know.
Yeah. Okay.
It's made up.
Yeah.
So we're clear.
He's very made up. I'll help you with your marketing strategy. Guess what the solution is going to be? It's going to be a brand redesign.
Exactly. Correct.
Yeah. Or
I am Jane Smith from the best media agency in the world.
More media spend.
What you need, Gareth, you need more media.
Yes. Or a PR agency, or a social media agency, or a delete as applicable. So
that's my point.
Again, what I'm peddling, let me be clear, is that agnostic, independent, agnostic approach. I think the job of a CMO is to find the most effective way to grow, and then you brief the agencies.
Exactly.
Because if you can't say you don't need this thing, then you're not agnostic. So it's been great.
As in, otherwise you have a vested interest.
Yes, you're biased.
It becomes self-serving. You have bias.
Yes. And I'm well aware I'm a hypocrite here because this is self-serving me. But that's what I believe in, is that, you see behind me, I've got no room full of social media, PR, pack design people.
No.
I've got a roster of people who I can put you in touch with, or you can use your own people. It doesn't matter, but
it's up to you.
Let's not pretend that that's agnostic, and let's not pretend that they have that client-side experience where they can say, I think your pricing's off, mate. Or, do you know what? You haven't got the right distribution strategy. Or
your packaging design is not cutting through these days.
Your product isn't right. So, I was chatting to someone recently who was briefing a full brand redesign, and they asked me to pitch for it. And I had a collective of people, and we pulled the right people together for that pitch. But it was slightly unpopular. But I said, that's an Armageddon scenario here. Do you know you need a redesign?
Exactly right.
Do you know
What's telling you need? Will a brand redesign make the boat go faster?
Yes, and I don't think it would. So I would have started with their pricing strategy first. So I felt that was a bit off. Or that do we know that your product delivers versus the competitor, your main competitor, the person who's clearly winning in the market? Do we know how that? And if you don't know those things, it's cheaper to find those things out rather than going down a redesign and jettison all the distinctive brand assets that you have and start again.
If you're selling cheese, and the cheese isn't the best in category at a premium price, then I, as a consumer who happen to like, our son's allergic to dairy, so I can't buy it anymore. But when I'm out, I like a really strong cheddar. And there's particular brands that I've found, which is like, they've actually got the best cheddar. It's amazing. I love it. It just happens to be right for me. If you ask me about the packaging and the brand, I'd be like, I don't know. I can't remember. No idea at all. But that's the one I want. I want that cheese because it tastes amazing. The
Sainsbury's Barber Cruncher is the king of all cheddars, by the way.
Oh, is it?
Yes, it's an amazing cheddar. Sorry, this has taken a turn. But
that's an unusual turn. Exactly.
Bring it back. But the point is that they're fundamentals, agnostic strategy, growth strategy. That the time spent getting that straight will save you money, time, and everything else down the line. And that's divorced from the tools and the shiny new things, which are exciting. And who doesn't want to try? I use it myself in my business, right? Who doesn't want to try these things? But they've got to be in service of a strategy that you put in place. They're not a strategy; they're a tactic.
Exactly. So in the agency research report, the reason I got onto this topic is I created not sure if I created, you never know these days if you create something or if you basically amalgamate something, it's hard to tell now. But I've got this kind of 2-layer model, which is in an agency, you've got the engine room and you've got the pilot. If you were going on holiday and we were going to go on a plane, we wouldn't be saying, now then, can we just check, when was your plane last maintained? And which version of engine is it? Because I've heard that some of the engines have got a problem. And that wing you've got, that would be nuts.
Yeah.
You expect the engine to work. What you want is the experience of the pilot, the crew, giving you a great experience on the journey, making sure that the pilot's got great judgment. The judgment layer. The pilot bit is judgment, the engine bit is execution. And what we're talking about here is, I think the problem is a lot of agencies are in the engine room trying to make it consistent and repeatable. What clients value, and we know this, the Verity RI relationship report, which is an amazing report, it's online, Verity RI relationship report. Again, not sponsored, just a brilliant report. when they talk to a bunch of CMOs about what they value from agencies. Do you know where the work came? 30th.
Yeah.
Because the brand expects you to do brilliant work. That's why we're paying you money. We expect consistent, reliable, brilliant work. That's not why we engage you.
Yeah.
We engage because you've got great judgment. You understand our sector. You're brilliant at business advice. You know how to grow our brand. I can call you and I know that you'll do what you say you'll do when you say you'll do it. And I trust your judgment and I trust your insight and craft. That's got nothing to do with AI. That's to do with you need strategic thinking in your agency. You need to be an agnostic growth advisor, not a paid media or SEO or influencer or whatever you might be agency. You need to talk to Gareth in his old role at Weetabix and go, you don't need a brand redesign. You don't need a new media campaign. Problem you've got is product actually has got a problem, whatever it is.
If you're getting advice from someone who can give you advice which on the face of it is different to the thing they're selling, then I think that elevates them to being a true partner. If you can say, do you know what, I don't think you need to spend more money on media if you're a media agency.
Yeah.
Then suddenly you're elevated. But the challenge is, since I've started doing the research into agencies offering strategy, I've then been served a gazillion different agency strategy templates. And I'm going to say 99% of them will say, here's a template for your brand positioning. And you go, okay, great. And then the solution would be, and so this is what you now need to do to your website.
Right.
Okay. That is one thing, right? And you might want to think about your website.
It's part of the mix. One can't argue.
It's one bit.
One component.
So would that be the first thing you do? It might be. I don't know. But I think there's something about this conductor rather than the instrument players.
So at this point, listeners, we're going to end part one of this episode. So end of part one. Please tune in for part two with Gareth when we talk about orchestration and the role of agencies in the future. So goodbye, listeners. We will talk to you soon. Gareth, thanks ever so much. Thanks for joining us. Before we go, Gareth, where can people find out more about you?
LinkedIn is probably the best. Gareth A. Turner on LinkedIn. I am irritatingly prolific.
Brilliant. Gareth, thanks ever so much for joining me. Thanks for listening to Higgle, the B2B Sales Club podcast series with your host, Mike Lander. Please subscribe so that you'll catch all the next episodes.